Hi, welcome to Get a Clue, Casual Gamer, where we get a clue about a game or maybe a list of games. C for components, L for length, U for uniqueness, and E for ease. Let's get a clue about some more party games. I have done a series of these lists for 5 different categories of party games, and this one is the 5th list. Today we're going to be looking at what I call storytelling / imagination party games. And so let's begin getting a clue about some party games that might be just right for you, your family, and your friends. First, number 1 came out in by the way, the order of them is from oldest to newest. If you haven't watched my other 4 videos, I try and say that in each one of them, but it's from the oldest to the newest. So number 1 is not necessarily my favorite, though if I have it, it's because I like it. So it's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you one that I don't like. So there we have it. Okay, number 1, Dixit. It has been around since 2008. So this is the oldest of this category of storytelling / imagination. In Dixit, you when it's your turn to be it, you pick a card from a handful of cards that you have, and you give a 1-word clue or description. And then everybody else looks at their hand of cards and picks out a card that they're hoping will get people to choose their card. It's all hidden. Everyone puts theirs in the middle. They get moved around and mixed up, and then all face up. And then people will vote for which one they think is the one that belongs to the person who originated the clue. And then once everyone has voted with their little tokens which card they think is the original, you score dependent on were they right, and the person who gave the clue, if anyone chose theirs, they get points. If anyone chooses yours and you weren't the one, you get points. I mean, there's all ways of different ways of getting points. The cards for this, I will tell you right now, are beautiful, and I would say unique, except that they're not unique in the hobby game, because there are 2 other games I know of where you could actually use Dixit cards in that game, and those games you could use their cards to play Dixit. So let me give you an idea. They're just beautiful, and they're a little surreal, maybe. Just kind of like a little different. You know, you've got, a cat with a fish in a globe, can't get at it. These miniature people with big stack of books, a dragon and a little kid, a giant mermaid, I guess, and a fish. And then, of course, castle being lifted by a big hot air balloon or whatever. And then there's others up here. It's like they're very different. The artwork is beautiful, special. And let me give you a little bit more information about this game. It plays in about 30 minutes. It plays up to 6 players. And it roughly cost about around $37 right now. When it came to these 25 games on the out of these 5 categories of party games, I did a quick look on Amazon only. I was not going to spend time looking at 29 different places to see what the prices were. If it was available on Amazon, that's the one I'm giving you, and that's the price I'm giving you. You probably find it cheaper in other places. Dixit is a classic, is a modern classic now, And so you're going to find this, and like I said, it's family friendly. It's a casual level game. It's really and it's so. When I bought mine, they had over 6 million sold, and I've had mine for a little while. So, it is a wonderful, very easy to get to the table, beautiful artwork, party game where you use your imagination and your picture tells the story. Okay? So that is Dixit. They do suggest age-wise. Let me see. I did not write that down. 8 and up, 3 to 6 players, 30 minutes. Just so you know. Okay. Next, number 2 is Telestrations. Now, I only have the 6-player version, and that would be the smallest that I would get. If you can get, I got this at a really, really good price, and so I just to have one, I got it. But if you were going to get it, I would suggest minimum the 8, and if you can get the 12, the party Telestrations party one that goes up to 12 people. Really, 8 to 12 people is a good number to have for the game. 6 is really the minimum for it to be fun. I mean, to really be like it. So Telestrations, let's get a clue about it. What's it all about? Well, first of all, it came out in 2014, so it's been out for about 8 years now. It is very simple, very easy. The manufacturer says it plays in 15 to 20 minutes. I'm here going, have they played this game? I mean, 15 to 20 minutes with 6 players. You could do 15 to 20 minutes for the first half of the game, which is the actual sketching and writing what you think that the previous sketch was. Telestrations is basically you start the official Telestrations game has cards that have words on it, and so you're supposed to, when you start with a word and you draw this word, and you really it's even better when you're not a good artist. It really is. It's like, don't let that keep you from doing this. You draw it out, and then you pass it to the next person, and they see the drawing, they flip the thing, and they write what they think they just saw a picture of, and whatever word or phrase or whatever, and then they pass it on to the next person, and they look at that phrase or that word, they flip it, and they draw what that is, and then they pass the drawing, and then the person looks at the drawing, flips it, writes what they think. It's kind of like a combination of Pictionary and telephone. Remember the old game where you would whisper something in somebody's ear, and then they would whisper it to the next person and the next person and the next person, and when you get to the end of the line, it sounds nothing like the original message? Well, that's what Telestrations is all about. It's the confusing between the pictures and the writing, and the pictures and the writing, and the pictures and the writing, that you end up with something that you're like, huh? This has nothing to do with the original drawing or word I had. And so the first half is doing that. And then the really fun part is when you go and you explain and you look at how it transitioned and morphed into something totally different. And that's when the laughs come. That's why I say it's really 6 people. You've only drawn, it just goes to 6 stops. So it's only 3 drawings different from yours, or 3 phrases different from the original. When you have 12 people, man, those pictures and those phrases completely change, and hilariously. I mean, I have seen mice being chased by, a robot running on the top of a train. I mean, I was like, where'd this come from? It's like, and originally it was something, galloping in a meadow or something. It was just like, it's hilarious how things will morph and change. So that is basically what Telestrations is all about. And that's why I say the more, the merrier. So 15 to 20 minutes, I would double that, 30 to 40 minutes, and that would be really closer to what it really ends up being. Depending on what size you get, like I say, this was 6. I do not suggest getting the 6. I would get the 8 or the 12. If you're going to get the official Telestrations, I would get at least the 8. If you can afford it, get the 12. The 8 costs $30 retail. The 12 costs $40 retail. Now it will come with whiteboard flip chart thingies for each person. So that's why 12 people will have 12 of these little flip things, and each one will have 12 wipe off things to flip. So it gets bigger exponentially. Truthfully, I saw Telestrations in the store the first time I saw it, and I went, that reminds me of a game that I played in my cousin's house, and we just used paper and pencil. Now, you had to have one sheet of paper for every single person playing when you started. So if there were 10 people, you each had 10 pieces of paper. And so that's 100 pieces of paper. They were using old leftover scrap paper that they were tearing and making into about that size. And we would draw, you'd make up a phrase, and then pass the phrase. And then when you got the other person's phrase, you put that in the back and you draw it. And then, so it was the same game, but you had to come up with your own phrase and start the drawing, and your own paper and your own pencils and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I got the hiccups. This is going to be fun. Anyway, but if you don't want to have to deal with all of that, oh my gosh, I really do have the hiccups. Anyway, Telestrations, you can buy it and just have it on hand like that. That's my number 2. Number 3 is Deception Murder in Hong Kong. It's a deduction game, but you have to use your imagination, which is why I put it in this category rather than in the deduction category or even the social deduction category, because one of you is the murderer, and one is kind of like the forensic scientist. That's what they call it. Yeah. And well, you're going to take turns being the forensic scientist and the murderer. But what happens is that everyone has some cards of different murder weapons and cards of different reasons. What they use, let me see what they what they call it. I want to say it in the right thing. One is the murderer secretly choosing their weapon and the evidence they leave behind. That's the other thing. The evidence they leave behind. So what happens is somehow you find out that you're the murderer. So it's like, okay, I'm the murderer in this round. And then the forensic scientist is like, okay, I'm the forensic scientist in this round. And the forensic scientist says, I'm the forensic scientist. And then and the murderer, of course, isn't going to say, oh, I'm the murderer. Everyone else is looking, going, okay, I'm just an investigator. Okay. And then everyone closes their eyes. And I keep on forgetting the terminology here. The forensic scientist has their eyes open, and the murderer opens their eyes, and they point to a weapon and evidence that they left behind that are on the cards in front of them, and then amongst the cards in front of them. And then it's like, okay, everyone Okay, open your eyes, and everyone opens their eyes, and the investigator has these lists, these columns, cards with columns with different words on them, and they use these little cardboard bullets to show that on this card and on this card there's information that might help you figure out the weapon and the evidence. And so you're looking at it and you're going, okay, it's hospital and student. Okay, so that's the location of crime and victim's occupation. So it's a hospital and student, and somebody has a syringe, and you're going, oh, they've got a syringe. Oh yeah, but they've got, poisonous medicine. And it's like, so it could have been you, and you're like, no, I'm just an investigator as well. But so and so has, they might have been strangled with a stethoscope, and they've got a stethoscope, and you find those in the and so everyone is trying to figure out who is the killer, who is the murderer. They are the investigators, and some of their cards in front of them might actually match other people's cards. And so you're like, oh, and you're discussing and everything, and then it's like, okay, the forensic scientist has another chance to give you a little bit more clue. And so you do this, I think it's 3 rounds, and then you have to decide, I think they are the murderer. And people vote, and if you get it right, it's like, ah. And then once you've done it, then you rotate, and then you pass out the cards of who you are, and one is a forensic scientist, and one is the murderer, and everyone else is investigators, and you keep on going. Now, if you have lots of people playing, then you will have opportunity of having other roles, like a witness, and they can have their eyes open, and so they know who the murderer is, but they can't give clues except in the conversations they get. So it's just like it. You use it's storytelling, it's imagination, as well as deduction. So that's why I put it in this category. Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. Came out in 2018. It plays in about 45 minutes, plays up to 8 people. It is very well loved. It's like lots of people, lots of places really enjoy this game. It has been, like I say, it's been around for about 4 years. It retails around $36. So Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. It's deduction, storytelling, imagination, and it's a really decent thing. Yes, like trying to figure it out. Okay, number 4. Number 4 came out in 2018, and yes, 2014 was Deception Murder. This is 2018, Detective Club. Detective Club, the reason why I said that the Dixit cards are not unique when it comes to the hobby games, because the Detective Club cards could be used to play Dixit, and Dixit could be used to play Detective Club. You can see even the cover uses some of the cards as background to the silhouette of the detective in his hat, whatever. And then you have like this one here. Oh, let me see here. This one here, how unique these pictures are, even though they're not unique to just one game. Now, none of them are the same. There's another game that uses them, Mysterium. This one up here. This one has these kind of surreal pictures as well that can be used as clue cards. But anyway, Detective Club, 2018. It takes about 45 minutes to play, up to 8 players, and Deception Murder in Hong Kong runs about $40 retail. Detective Club runs around $36 retail. Detective Club, okay. When it's your turn to be it, you'll have a pad of paper for each person that's out, that's again that you're playing with, and on all but one of them, you write a word. Let's see, freezing, whatever, a description, a descriptive word, or flying, verb. It's like, okay, just something, a word. One of those, you don't write anything. Nothing. All the others, you write the same word. And then you mix up the pads, and then you pass the pads out, and each person looks at the pad, and everyone knows what the word is except for one person. Now, the person who is it takes one of the cards in their hand and places it in front of them and doesn't say anything. Then the next person takes one out of their hand and puts it down, keeping in mind that word, and everyone does that. Now the person who doesn't know what the word is looking at the cards going, okay, what could it be? Could it be? It's like I see animals, and there's a teacup, there's a teapot. Is like, okay, let me see. And so they are picking a card hoping that it matches the word without knowing what the word is. And then the person who's it puts a second card down, and everyone does that. Puts a second card down one at a time. Once that's done, then the person who's it says the word was freezing. And then I chose this card because it has, he's wearing a scarf and he's really cold. I chose this one because there's ice cubes, in the glass or whatever. And then each person goes and explains why they chose that card for that word, including the person who has no clue what the word was. You get a chance to use your imagination and come up, your storytelling and imagination, come up with a reason why you chose this card and this card. Now, this being that when it's your turn and you know what the word is, and you have, people in a desert, and you have no picture in your hand that you can use to express freezing. So you might go for the opposite. And that, and it's like, and so people think, oh, I don't know about I don't think you knew that word. It's like, yes, I did. It's like, but this is all I had. So it can be very, and then after there's discussion, then it's time to vote. And then you have this little cardboard magnifying glass, and you use that and you place it in front of the person you think is the liar, is the outlier. And then depending on who votes for who, if they get a point, or if the person who gave the clue gets point, it's like it all depends on the placement of those votes. And that's the game. And then, the next time, the next person is it. And they come up with a word, and it goes around until everyone's had at least one turn. And so that is Detective Club. It's just fun storytelling, bluffing, use your imagination type of game, with some deduction in there, because somebody is lying. Somebody is wrong. Somebody did not know what this word was. So somebody here is fabricating their whole reasoning, and you need to figure it out. So that is my number 4 in the storytelling imagination category. Number 5, I do not own it because it's not here in the United States. I think the only people in the United States who have it might have been a Kickstarter, and so they've gotten their Kickstarter. I know people in Europe have access to it, and it's supposed to be coming to the United States sometime this year. Came out in 2021, so it's been out, and it's called Doodle Dash. And basically, the word tells you, first of all, it's fast, and you doodle. Person who's it is like doesn't know what the word is. Everybody else finds out what the word is, and then it's like go, and they try and draw as quickly as can. Whoever draws first puts it down, turns over a yeah, whatever this is. I can't remember the word. My brain is fried right now. It's like my poofy hair and fried brain. And anyway, so, and then that gives everyone else like 30 seconds to finish drawing. And then everyone has to face it down. And then the person who finished first turns it over. And the person who has to guess from that drawing. Now, that person was drawing very fast. And sometimes it's a bunch of mess. And other times it's like three squiggles, and the person goes, oh, a horse. Of course. And it's like, you got that from that? Or it's like, I have no clue. So the second person who finished, they show theirs. And you go in order, and whoever, at whatever level that the guesser guesses correctly, that person gets the points or whatever. And then you just do it again, and rotate who's doing it. And that is Doodle Dash. So it's a very quick and a little stressful there that you're having to turn over the timer and finish as quickly as you can, because you want to be the first one or the second one to finish your drawing so that you have better possibility of getting the points. And so that is number 5. Very low complexity, very easy, plays in 15 to 20 minutes, plays up to 7 people, and I have no idea how much it's going to cost. I can't imagine it being too expensive, but if you have to have it now, you order it from Europe and have it shipped, and it will cost you an arm and a leg to do that. An arm for the for the game, and a leg for the postage. So I wouldn't bother. I would wait, and then when it arrives, it'll arrive. And sooner or later, it'll arrive, because it is a very popular game. Even people who have content creators who get games from publishers. I do not. I don't make any money. This is just because I love games, and I want you to love some games too. They've gotten them free so that they could review them, and so you can look it up, and there are reviews on it online, and so it's like you can see what it really looks like and how it really plays. In fact, they have a playthrough. Dice Tower did a playthrough of it, so I know that it's out there. But Doodle Dash is on my wish list because it just looks like a fun storytelling, imagination, trying fast game. And those are my 5 storytelling / imagination party games. I hope at least one of them caught your interest, if not all of them. I love them all. And happy gaming. God bless you and your family. Subscribe if you like these videos, and I'll see you soon. Bye.